All right, you guys, and we are back with another series of I need to do my laundry. I am wearing pants, just so you guys know. They're just like little shorts. Um, but so the last video I had told you guys about some family members that I didn't really want to talk about. And it was mainly because I just didn't want them to watch the video and get upset at the things that I say about them or how I feel about them, because they don't really know. So it's one of those that I just it's better to just keep that information to myself. However, I'm going to talk about it. I'm just not going to say who it is, so that way if they do watch this video, nobody gets upset that this is the things I'm saying about them. Now, if they come to that conclusion themselves, then, slightly different story. I'll let them know, yes, I was talking about you. But there are pretty much about 3 or so personalities here that we're going to discuss. I'm assuming that everybody knows or has dealt with a narcissist before. That is one of them. One of them is a narcissist. One of them is a pushover. One of them is a bit selfish, and materialistic, if you will. But the thing is, I don't live with any of these people anymore. I'm trying not to say things that'll give it away, so just bear with me here. But the personalities that are, I think, the most difficult to deal with is going to be that narcissist. Because they never think that they do anything wrong. Even though 90% of the time they're the one that is doing the wrong. But they don't see that. They never have, they never will. It's just something that you're never gonna get them to admit these things. You're never gonna, they're very manipulative. There's no, you can't get through to them about who they are and the things that they're doing, because that's what a narcissist is. They don't know that they're a narcissist. They'll never be able to admit they're a narcissist. And it's just kind of funny that is like one of the definitions or the ways to know that they are a narcissist, is because they don't know themselves that they are, and they will never admit it. And it's kind of funny that they don't see it, okay? But it makes it difficult for everybody else that does see it, because how do you deal with somebody like that, who is constantly doing things that are disrespectful and unacceptable, but they don't think that it is until you do it to them, and then they lose their mind, right? So how do you handle somebody like that? How do you deal with somebody like that? Well, you could do pretty much one of two things, because like I said, it's very difficult to have that level-headed conversation with them. So one of two things: either you kind of argue a lot with them, because you just can't let certain things go, kind of like them, and you just argue, and you end up just fighting so bad to the point that you guys never want to deal with each other ever again. Or you kind of just accept it and understand that that's how they are, and then decide if that's something you're willing to deal with or not. That's really what you have to do with everybody, is decide if that other person, the way that they are, without any changes, because you can't change anybody else, they may change down the line, they may not, but you can't change anybody else. So you have to be able to kind of decide ahead of time, is this something you're willing to deal with or not? And if the answer is no, then the answer is no, and that's something that they need to accept from you, that you're not willing to deal with them. And if they can't handle that, then it's probably just best that you guys just don't hang out, or you don't see this other person, okay? The only thing that sometimes kind of sucks about this personality when it comes to my family is that this person is with someone else in my family that everybody wants to be around. So it kind of makes it difficult to be around the person you want to be around when you also have to then be around the person you don't want to be around. So for me personally, I just do my best to deal with it. I have a certain kind of threshold that once you pass that, I'm going to say something. I'm going to voice my opinion. I'm going to let you know that that was not okay. But like 90% of the time, I'm just going to let it go, because it's not, that gets hung up. It's not worth kind of having the argument over. It's not worth it for me. Like, why am I going to get into this argument knowing that no matter what I say or do, it's not going to make a difference. So that's why people say you have to pick and choose your battles. You have to pick and choose them wisely. There's no need to argue and to fight over such little things. And for some people, it takes them a really long time to be able to decide between what's worth arguing about and what's not worth arguing about. But I've learned this rather quick, especially because if you guys watched the video where I talked about my little sister, she argues to the death almost over everything. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to sit here and have this argument with you. I know that no matter what I say or do or whatever during this argument, it's not going to change a single thing that they think. So why am I even going to entertain that? I'm not going to. So you have to pick and choose which things are worth getting into that over, and most things are not, okay? The other personality, the pushover, it's a little difficult because their threshold for this kind of behavior is a lot higher than mine. It's actually a lot higher than most people. Hence the reason why they're called the pushover. But at the same time, I can't really feel bad for the situations that the pushover gets into, because that personality, they're allowing that to happen to them. They have a say. They can say something. They can do something, but they choose not to. And that's what leads to them being in that position that they sometimes wish they weren't in. And until you can learn to say no to people, or until you can learn to stand up for yourself, you're always going to put yourself in those situations that you'd rather not be in. Why do that to yourself, And then the one that's selfish and a little materialistic. I mean, if you watched one of my other videos about a family member, I'm sure you all know who I'm talking about, as well as, she already knows who I'm talking about. So I'm just going to say it. This one is my mom. Growing up, my mom was just always kind of really just cared about herself. kind of to the point where I just wonder why some people even have children. Like, they're a lot of work, okay? Um, it's it's not just the bare necessities. It's not just, hey, they have a roof over their head and some clothes and some food, we're good to go. There's way more that goes into raising a child than just those few basic things. They have emotional needs, psychological, all that jazz. Um, they have physical needs in the sense of exercise, and they have a lot of energy, and they need physical and mental kind of stimulation. They shouldn't just be sitting on the couch watching TV all day long. Um, like the emotional aspect is a huge part of it. Just being there for the kid and stuff, and she wasn't, you know. But to a certain extent, I can't really blame her because guess what? Her mom wasn't either. From what I gather, her mom also pretty much liked my mom's brothers more than they liked her. And guess what? My mom liked our brother more than she liked us. And it's one of those that I kind of always wondered, well, why do my uncles like my grandma and they didn't like their dad? Well, because their dad was actually doing what dad should be doing. And then they wonder why we liked our grandpa the most and didn't like our grandma. Well, because our grandma sat on the computer all day back in the back bedroom, secluded from everybody, no emotional connection at all, no conversations, no nothing. It was always my grandpa. My grandpa was always the one that was there with us in the living room, outside, playing basketball out front, climbing in the tree out front, helping with yard work, playing in the mud, doing whatever we were doing. It was always my grandpa. Never my grandma. Whenever we needed help with things, or we were struggling with things at home, or emotional distress, guess who we called? Guess who we talked to? Guess who we hung out with? My grandpa. Because my grandma didn't do anything, okay? And I think, you know, them growing up, they preferred the mother who didn't give a crap what they were doing over the father who had boundaries and rules and, you know, stuff for them, okay? I really just, it drives me nuts that they think that she's like some sort of saint, you know. I don't know what they think, but they think very highly of her, I guess. I don't really know. But that's kind of the environment that she grew up in. So really, what else was she to do when it came to us? And a lot of times when people are talking about generational kind of curses or generational things, this is what they're talking about. That stuff got passed down to my grandma from her mom. And my grandma passed it on to my mom. And then my mom pretty much passed it down to us. However, the difference with us is we're aware of that, we're understanding that, we see the difference and stuff, and we're doing our best to not do that when it comes to our children or to our nieces and nephews or to our, you know, whatever. We're doing our best to kind of break that cycle. Now, I don't have any kids, and one of my concerns with having a child was, well, what if I am like my mom? What if I don't have an emotional connection? What if I don't care to have an emotional connection? What if, you know, I'm going to be like that? But then my husband was like, well, the fact that that's a concern for you and the fact that you're aware of that and stuff probably means that you're probably going to make an effort to not do those things to your child. But you know, we have no kids. We've decided on no kids. Um, I have zero desire to have a child. Okay. We have talked about potentially when we're quite a bit older, if that is something that we want to do at that point, we would consider adoption. I just I don't want the stress. I don't want the responsibility. I don't want. I just. I. I have too much that goes on, like in my brain and stuff already, that I couldn't imagine adding a child into the mix. I couldn't imagine. I see what my sister goes through, what my sister-in-law goes through. I see what friends with kids go through. I see just so much, and I'm just honestly, I'm just not willing to do it. Like, I have 3 dogs, and I get, for those of you who are dogs are not like kids, they're very similar, to be honest with you. And the fact that I have so much stress and worry and commitment and responsibility to these dogs, and a child needs more than that. I don't want to do it, and I don't have to. That's my decision. So I'm never going to actually have a kid that like is my own. And for those of you who are like, it's different when you have your own kid. No, no, no. Okay, I have helped raise kids in this church nursery for years. I took courses in college. I babysit kids. I help with all sorts of things. No, I don't want one. I don't. And I just, why would I have a child when I don't want one? Like, does that make any sense? Like, and sometimes, you know, kind of getting a little off topic here, it bothers me that we have told our family numerous times that we're not having children, yet almost every single time I see somebody either on his side of the family or my side, they're always asking, when are you going to have a kid? I'm not, okay? So leave me alone. Like, if you want a grandkid, go get another kid your dang self, because I'm not doing it, okay? Like, I just don't want to. And there's no reason to bring a child into the mix that I'm not going to want, that I'm going to be upset at the fact that I have, or like I currently, to give you guys some insight here, have 2 dogs that I didn't want. And guess what? I still don't want them. But I have them. And it's difficult to not get upset every single day at the fact that I have them. And again, that was a sort of mutual decision. It wasn't really mutual. I was given an ultimatum, okay? So we took in the 2 dogs that I didn't want, and I still don't want. Now, I'm not like mean to them or anything. I don't abuse them. I don't neglect them. We still give them anything and everything that they need. They still cuddle us. They still whatever. But it's 2 extra stresses. Double the well, it's actually triple the responsibility because we have a 3rd dog. But it's just so much extra that I didn't want. Literally, if somebody were to come to me today and said, I will take these 2 dogs, and my husband said it was fine, here you go. You know, like, it's not that I don't like them. I mean, out of the two, I do like Stacy a lot more than I like Mimi. But it's just the fact that I still have that, like, I didn't want them. And now that with the choice of having children is literally solely my choice, I'm not doing it. I refuse to do it. But anyways, kind of getting back to the family. So those are the three other kind of major personalities besides my siblings, that we discussed. These next few videos may or may not offend some of you guys, because I do get into talking about the church a little bit. I'm just going to tell you right now, like, I have nothing against the church. I have nothing against religions. I have nothing against Christianity. Like, I'm still a Christian. I still pray. I still, do all that jazz. I just don't agree with a lot of the things that were done within the church, or the ways that they interpreted the Bible and what's okay versus not okay. Yeah, so that's what we're going to get into in this next video, getting into the church, getting into a few relationships that I have been in, as well as my current relationship. And then that's when we will start diving more into what I did to get out of that kind of mindset that I had when you guys watch these videos, into where I'm at now. And we'll just kind of continue that discussion as I bring in the second aspect, that we will kind of introduce on the channel here. So I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you.